Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Barcelona. Welcome to Santa Susana. Welcome to the Atzavara. And most importantly, welcome to the 2023 Transporeon Summit. I could not be more excited to see so many of you in the room. Now, who was in London last year? Okay, so a few hands. We kind of got a bit bigger this year, wouldn't you say? We were only about 60 last year. Got quite a few more people in the room, so this is super, super exciting. And of course, today is all about you guys. This is all about our customers, and you are going to make a success of this event. We've just provided the environment for you. Now, this year, big difference to this conference. Last year when we were in London, we actually only had one audience with us. We had our shipper community. And then at another time during the year, we ran our carrier community, and that was another 100 or so people, but virtually. And then at another time during the year, we had our procurement conference. This year, you're all here together. We have carriers, logistics service providers, partners, and shippers, all in the same room. What does that mean? It means we've got the load giver, we've got the load taker, and we have the load receivers. And from every single industry you could imagine: retail, manufacturing, FMCG, paper, chemical, the whole bang shoot. Now, why did we do this? You guys are all customers of Transporeon. You know that you're operating on a neutral platform for both carriers and shippers. So when we bring you all together in one room, why would we separate you? We're all here together because we need to collaborate and we need to engage. So that's why we've pulled together this amalgamated event. Now this year, we have a theme. The theme is the Logistics Retreat. Now this was inspired because this is a beautiful hotel and spa. We are going to work hard, but we're also going to play hard. Now, I failed to introduce myself. I am Georgia Laybourne, for those of you who don't know me, and my official title today is your cruise director. I am head of fun and engagement and everything that is good about this conference. So if you have any questions, you can come and find me. Now, I appreciate that we made you all transit from the airport. 45 minutes, an hour. I know there was one guy last night who took the train and it took him about 3. We've all arrived here through intermodal means, but the great news is for the next 36 hours, everything happens here on site. No more transits, no more shuttles, no more buses, okay? Just good old-fashioned fun and work. So sit back, get comfortable, because we have some phenomenal content for you. Look at the lineup of speakers. Absolutely market-leading global brands from across the Transporeon ecosystem. These are the people who are going to make this event a success because they are bringing phenomenal insight into play. 3 goals we have for this event. We want to inspire you, and it's those customers who are going to do that for us. We want you to engage. We talk about collaboration on the network, on the platform. Here's your opportunity. Collaborate with each other, find new partners, find new shippers, find new carriers. We've got lots of networking opportunity for you. And we want you to discover something new to take away with you, something that you can bring back to your business that really makes a difference on your journey to a truly digital transportation strategy. So be bold. Introduce yourself to the person next door, get networking. Now, our partner pavilion, which is downstairs, hopefully you've all had a coffee there, inside space, outside space. Many of our partners are there, and they're waiting to share some innovations with you that they have brought to the market, which are complementary to the transportation management platform that Transporeon offers you. So take advantage of the networking. Every break, lunch, tonight's party will all be in the partner pavilion, so you can circulate. What I'm keen for is that you guys go home with a fistful of digital business cards so that you can make new engagements. Okay, a few practicalities. You've all got a mobile phone. In fact, some of you probably have 2, because that's what we do these days, isn't it? One for personal, one for work. Keep it with you, because you're going to need it. Here is the Wi-Fi. So you can log on to Transporeon's Wi-Fi, which is dedicated to this audience. We have an app. It's actually a really good app. You know, sometimes those event apps can be really bad. This one's pretty good. You can engage with each other on it. You can find out what session's coming next. Really, really good engagement possibility. And please just put your phone to silent, out of courtesy. But this afternoon, you will be needing it, because when we launch our new product, we're going to invite all of you to jump on and give it a whirl. So keep your mobiles close. Okay, I think it's probably time, Stefan, to get this show on the road. So I would like to welcome Stefan Sieber, our CEO, to the stage, and he's going to kick off the day. Thank you very much.
Is that the fake one, Jonathan? Yeah. Is that the one that turns on the light in my room upstairs? Okay. Well, good morning, and thank you. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank you for taking a few hours, a few days out of your busy schedules, traveling from wherever you traveled to beautiful Barcelona. It's a real privilege and an honor to have so many of you here, and the team has done a tremendous job in preparing an agenda that hopefully makes it worth for you being here. I'm very much looking forward to 2 intensive days with partners, customers, shippers, carriers, logistics service providers, just people that basically move Europe, move the world. It's an exciting moment for Transporeon. It's the first time that we do an event like this of that size, and it's also the first time that we do an event like this as a part of Trimble. Most of you most likely have received the news in the meantime. Transporeon has been acquired actually end of last year and then officially closed in April this year by Trimble. And I'm very pleased to have Rob Painter and Chris Keating here from Trimble. They will have an active part in this presentation. Who of you knows what the connection between Ulm and Barcelona is? Why are we in Barcelona? The only reason. It's not the palm trees, it's not the sea, it's not the sand, it's not the weather. Philip, Fisto, you should know. Well, up until about a year ago, that beautiful church that you saw in the intro movie in Ulm had the highest church tower in the world. And about a year ago, something happened, and that is that there is a church in Barcelona with a higher church tower. It took you guys a few years to build it, probably longer than it took the Ulm people to build the Minster in Ulm, and now the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona is the church with the highest church tower. So probably tonight we all travel to the city and chop a few pieces off, and then we'll make Ulm the highest church tower again. How about that? Now, obviously, we were looking for a great venue, for a place where it's worth traveling to, and I think hopefully we found it, so thank you again for joining. It's a time of a lot of change, and I'm going to talk about transportation in a world of motion, and not only the transportation world is in motion, also the Transporeon world is in motion. We've been acquired, and I long thought about how do I use this conference to tell something about myself, and that is the fact that I decided after 4 fantastic years at Transporeon, at the top of Transporeon as the CEO, to step down from my position at the end of this year and basically leave the business towards the end of the year. I couldn't stand on stage in front of our most important customers and partners today and not say this. I don't want to waste your time with an organizational announcement. What I would like to do is I would like to use this time to introduce you to my successor, and that's Chris Keating. Chris, please join me on stage briefly. Now, we still give Chris a moment because actually he doesn't know for a long time that he will have the pleasure and the honor to take this role. So I said, I'll take care of the keynote this year. Next year, you will absolutely see him on stage. Chris is a great guy. He works for Trimble for more than 10 years. He himself joined as part of an acquisition. So he knows how it feels to be acquired. He also knows how it is to grow successfully a business under Trimble's ownership. And currently he is the group head of strategy at Trimble, so he sits at the heart of Connect and Scale, the strategy that Rob Painter, the CEO, will afterwards talk about. So I think he is the perfect person to take over from me. He is a great guy to work with. He's a much better listener than I am, I can tell you guys. And we wanted him to be here and have an opportunity to meet all of you, as many as possible of you. So thank you, Chris, for accepting this invitation on short notice.
Yeah, thank you for your kind words, Stefan. Hey, it's literally day 0 for me here, and so it's early days, and I have a lot to learn about the business, but I did want to pop up here and say hello, and I do want to say to all the Transporeon folks in here, I'm very, very excited to join this amazing team in action, and then for all of our customers and partners who are at the event, I'm excited to get to know as many of you as possible over this intense next couple of days, as Stefan puts it. So I'm not part of the Keynote content this year, but I will be front and center in these shoes, although my feet are a little bigger than yours this time next year, in some to-be-determined location, I guess, right?
Excellent.
So thank you again, yeah,
and
I'll let
Chris.
you get back to it.
Thanks,
yeah.
Chris.
All right, thank you.
So last year in London, we actually opened the conference with 3 statements. We said transportation is essential, transportation is challenging, but being a pathetic optimist, I said transportation is also a world of massive opportunities. Now, 12 months ago, it's pretty much 12 months ago, we had the conference in London. It was the day after the funeral of the Queen. I will never forget that. Even though I'm not British, but it was something in the air there in London. I think our world has again massively changed, right? In September 2022, we were in a very tight market. Everybody was looking for capacity. Freight rates were enormously high, specifically on certain transport modes, ocean, and it was probably the end of that phase, right? Quite shortly afterwards, in October, November, our world started to change, and we're now in a completely different phase in a market that has almost turned upside down. Still, I am convinced that transportation is a world that is full of opportunities. And I want to start with one of the 7 habits that Stephen Covey talks about in his book, The 7 Habits of Effective People. Actually, what I didn't know is this is one of the top 100 books ever written in the world. I think it's ranked number 70, and I couldn't find, most actual statistics, but the last time actually somebody published a report, it sold about 40 million, 45 million times. That puts it in the range of like very classic novels and literature. And one of the habits that Stephen Covey talks about, that effective people always start with the beginning, start with the end in mind, right? And in essence, he talks about the fact that all the things we have in our world, all the things that are being created are actually created twice. First in our minds, in the minds of people, and then afterwards in reality. And I wanted to take this as an opportunity to take you on a little journey and say, like, so what would the perfect supply chain look like? What would that fully autonomous, highly effective, frictionless, no waste, completely digital, seamless, smooth supply chain look like? And what would the role of transportation in logistics be? And if we then start with that end in mind and calculate backwards to where we are today, what would we need to change? Not overnight, not from today to tomorrow, not when you come back to the office on Thursday or Friday or whenever you go back to the office, but where would we start to work? Where would we put our energy, our effort, our skills, our most talented people, our resources, financial, labor resources? What would we start to change, right? And this is something that we have discussed when we thought about what sort of the next 3 to 5 years roadmap for our platform. And we actually came to the conclusion that a massive digital transformation on multiple different layers, on all the layers that touch transportation, in essence is needed. Starting at the bottom with the physical infrastructure. The physical infrastructure needs to go digital as well. So think about solutions that help us to understand what happens on the ground. Take the yard, right? How much dynamic capacity is lost because of waiting times. But then also the mobility sector, where drivers at some point in time will actually no longer be drivers, but will turn into operators of autonomous vehicles, vessels, trucks, whatever it is. Loads that actually become smart themselves. Well, probably not the physical load, but the digital twin of that load that understands its lead time, its urgency, its customer commitment, that understands the criticality of this customer situation, and based on that, automatically and autonomously find its own way in the network. Intra-organizational, so the things that all the companies that are part of our network have under their own control, with a desire to automate as much as possible, to reduce manual labor, to take friction out, but also inter-organizational when it actually leaves the company boundaries and where multiple different organizations and companies collaborate together. Most of you most likely heard me saying that Transporeon is one of the very few technology companies in the world that actually solves freight problems where they occur, and that is in between organizations, mostly in between organizations and not within single organizations. So when we think about developing our platform, adding new functionality, and we're going to talk about a few innovations that we are launching today, Georgia mentioned one of them, those are sort of the beliefs and the things we have in mind as sort of that's the end at which we at some point in time would like to be. We don't know when, but that's sort of what we want to build. And it's a perfect segue to introducing actually Rob Painter. Because the combination of Trimble and Transporeon holds a lot of promise in exactly this convergence of those layers of transportation. It's not only within those single layers, but it's also the convergence of the layers in between. Think about the value of a real-time visibility signal and understanding the exact ETA when the yard is not ready. Or think about an ability to assign a load to a truck when you don't understand the warehouse capacity to receive the load on the other side. So it's also in between those layers. And if you ask me, like, what's the promise in the combination of Trimble and Transporeon, it is that ability to connect the physical and the digital world. It is the ability to extend the office workflows into the field, or the field workflows into the office. And it is the ability to equally understand how to manage loads and how to manage assets, because this is ultimately what you need to bring together in order to solve a freight problem. And with this, I would like to ask Rob Painter, the CEO of Trimble, to join me on stage. Rob, it's an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
I know how busy you are, but I personally, and I'm sure everybody in this room here appreciates that you also took the time. Over to you. Thank you, Rob.
Great, thank you. I want to start with gratitude this morning. My gratitude to you, Stefan. You've made this a better business, you and the team, and you set us up really for this next stage of growth, and I thank you for the years of effort you've put in to this business. Nikki, I want to thank you, because Nikki is responsible for us being here today and putting this together. So Nikki, she won't let me do it, but raise your hand. Okay, thank you. And thank all of you for taking the time to be here with us for a couple of days. I want to talk to you about Trimble and give you some background on Trimble, give you some context for why we're here today and why we decided to do the acquisition of Transporeon and bring these capabilities together. And I'll start with the why of Trimble. The why of Trimble, we say, build the world, feed the world, move the world. Many of you today are actually customers of Trimble. I would say all of you see Trimble in your everyday lives, and you probably just don't know it yet. So when we say build the world, we have a strategy to build a connected construction site. In Trimble, we manage over $1 trillion of construction programs through our software today and our systems today. We work with surveyors, architects, engineers, and contractors. We do 3D design software, engineering modeling, those survey technologies, building construction, project management, program management, maintenance and operational phases for construction companies. For those of you in the audience, a few of you in particular, for those of you who work in rail, I met some folks last night who work in rail technology, customers and partners. If you work in rail, we're surveying those tracks. We're delivering the precision that you need in the rail industry. Sarah, we had dinner last night. Sarah works at IKEA. IKEA is an important partner and customer for Trimble in our 3D design engineering software, where you're taking your products and you're bringing them into 3D models that we create at Trimble. I saw that Exxon is one of the participants here with us this week. Our survey and construction technology is used both for wellhead exploration as well as the pipelines that are built to bring that oil and gas to port. I saw that ThyssenKrupp is one of our speakers today, or this week. In that steel business, your customer is often a steel fabricator and designer who uses Trimble technology. If I go to the world of agriculture, we say feed the world. We want to build, and it's our intention to build a connected farm. When I looked at the list of participants this morning, AGCO is here today. AGCO produces some of the biggest, most important farm equipment in the world, brands like Fendt and Massey Ferguson and Valtra. They use our precision ag technology, which has an impact of maximizing the yield of crop while minimizing the use of inputs on our farms today. Nestle is here. I had dinner with Andrew last night from Nestle. Nestle works with our Trimble Ag business to manage sustainability. So we manage carbon credits as farmers do sustainable farming practices, and the feedstock that goes in for the cows, which produces the milk, which goes into that chocolate that we all enjoy. And then there's the world of transportation, which is why we're here today. In Trimble today, we manage millions of vehicles on our roads across the world today. In North America, over 95% of the top 200 trucking companies use our technology today. We entered this business about 25 years ago and have a deep amount of experience that we bring to this industry prior to coming together with the Transporeon business. So you can see across these industries that we serve, from construction, geospatial, and surveying, transportation, agriculture, is that today we've become one of the largest technology companies in the world serving these markets. So what's the connective tissue between these businesses? Why do these belong together, and how do we think about them? Well, we think about it at the intersection of the physical world and the digital world. The physical world, that's that work that happens out there in the field that Stefan referred to. When we talk about the digital world, think about that work in the office. We have a mission at Trimble to transform the way the world works. We don't say we have a mission to make the world work a little bit better. We're saying we have a mission to transform the way the world works. And we have a vision to deliver products and services that connect the physical and the digital worlds. And if you think of an industrial IoT context, we're actually doing this, the connection of the physical and digital. A lot of people talk about it these days. It's a tagline that you see a lot of companies use. The difference between us and others is that we're actually doing it. This is that management of millions of assets on the roads. We have managing over 180 million acres of farmland through our technology and our platforms, managing over $1 trillion of construction on a global basis. That connection of the physical and digital, we think, is quite profound to solve some of the pressing problems that we have in the world today. Now, let's make the connection with Trimble and Transporeon. And we do genuinely believe that we are uniquely positioned to connect the work and the physical and the digital worlds. We've been working on this for a very long time. If I give you my version of the connectivity and the reason that we wanted to bring these businesses together, I would be able to address it as follows. If we look at the origin story of Transporeon, the origin and the roots are with shippers. That's the roots. Of course, the business today works across all industry participants. If we look at the roots and the origin story of Trimble, it's with the carriers. So we see a connection between carriers and shippers, this origin that we have in this centricity and this history coming together. Transporeon is a majority European business. Our Trimble business is a majority North American business today. I'd say the majority of the capabilities we have in the Trimble business today are in the physical world, and Transporeon brings the digital platform. So this intersection point with the physical and digital, the carrier, the shipper, the global reach that we can bring together. We have an ambition, absolutely, to connect the industry participants. Those load givers, the load takers, the load recipients, or the carriers, the shippers, the brokers, the forwarders, that all come together to make this work. We think that the more participants we can bring into this marketplace and onto this platform, the better service that we can provide all of you. So it's bringing more capabilities on a more global basis to a wider set of participants in the industry and working across that value chain from the sourcing to the planning to the execution to the monitoring and to the settlement. So we want to connect the industry participants across this value chain, creating that digital twin that Stefan talked about. This is the why of bringing these businesses together. Now we're at a technology conference, so let me talk a little bit about how we're actually doing that, how we're actually connecting that work in the physical and the digital worlds. Inside of that, I can tell the origin story of Trimble. Trimble's about a 45-year-old company. We're based these days just outside of Denver, Colorado in the States. And I noticed that Ball Corporation is one of the participants with us today. We're literally next door to the Ball global headquarters in Colorado. Trimble's roots are in positioning technologies. GPS specifically is what we became best known for, call it 30 to 40 years ago. It's this idea of the spatial awareness, and it's this power of where, it's this power of the precise position. In fact, I saw that Ford as a customer who's here with us today. And Ford, one of the applications Ford uses with us is to bring the navigation, the GPS, to be able to bring absolute centimeter level accuracy into where that vehicle is on the road at any point in time. So we have this rich history in spatial awareness and spatial technologies. So the power of where. But what's better than just the where is when you can combine the where with the what. Combining the where with the what, that what looks like the software. The software looks like the digital models. The software looks like bringing, I'd say, business awareness to that geometry that's in the spatial model. So what's more powerful than the geometry is when you can put context around that, when you can put that model or that platform around that. Now what's more powerful than connecting the where and the what? It happens at the intersection of the why. The why looks like the higher order problems that you're trying to solve. And we know that there's big challenges in the global supply chain market today. We know what the data tells us about the percent of empty miles or empty kilometers that the trucks on the roads run today. We know the profound impact that has on sustainability. We know the profound impact that has on the profitability of all your businesses and the efficiency of all your businesses. And it's this connection of the why, when you look at the data and the participants that we can bring together in this marketplace, is we see enormous opportunities for the application of artificial intelligence. And we all know about generative AI at this point and where that's beginning to go. We have a profound opportunity together with this community that's been put together and now with Trimble on a global basis to really go after some of the highest order problems. And what customers are telling me every day is they want to move, you want to move from optimizing tasks to optimizing the entire systems in which you work. And we believe we can do this when we work in a collaborative platform that intersects these capabilities from the where, the what, and the why of what together we can do. These problems are complex, and we live in a world that's changing fast. The Prime Minister of Canada said a couple of years ago that the rate of change has never been so fast, yet it will never be this slow again. And I think that's something we can probably relate to. It just feels like every year goes faster, every month goes faster. If you work in a public company like we do, every quarter goes faster. Like the world is changing, it's moving fast, it's complicated. You want to put some data behind that? You know, the data tells us today that we produce 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every day. 2.5 quintillion. Now think about how many kilometers it takes to circle the sun. That's 27 billion trips around the sun to get to that number of 2.5 quintillion. And that's how many bytes are being produced every day. We know that over 90% of the world's data has been created in just the last 2 years. The rate of change has never been this fast, yet it will have never been so fast, yet it will, and it will only continue getting faster here in the future. That's why we're here. That's why we believe so much in technology's ability and potential to manage this complex and changing world. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Stefan to walk us through some of the innovations that we're working on.
Thank you. So whose world didn't change in the last 12 months? Okay, see, Jonathan, I told you I don't need this chart. They would all agree with me. But last year in London, Adrian Gonzalez, I saw you there. Hey, Adrian, good to have you here again. I think the common theme that we all agreed on what makes us more successful in the future was collaboration. Just work together. And this is what actually I think is behind sort of probably the most important ingredient to come closer to that end that I described before, this fully autonomous, efficient, highly efficient, effective supply chain, is that we need to move out of isolation and actually start to work as a collaboration, as a partnership, as a network to unlock the full potential. There is another good news in the fact that Transporeon is now part of Trimble. There's a few good news in this, right? Some of you, mostly customers that are with Transporeon for a number of years, and we're very proud to have some customers for as long as this company exists, 23 years. Some of you have called me at the back end of last year when the news were in the press that we would be acquired and have expressed concerns about who acquires this business. Some of you were very concerned about one of your competitors potentially acquiring us. Some of you were very concerned about us being again acquired by an investment company because we know that these guys always have a limited holding period and after a certain number of years something happens. And I think the fact that we are now part of Trimble, a technology company, and I think the presentation of Rob impressively showed how close the beliefs are that we have, is also a guarantee for you as our customers that we will continue to do what we do best. We will continue to work hard to do it even better. There is most likely a lot of areas that still need improvement. Chris and Rob, close your ears. But we will not start to interfere and start to conflict with the participants in our network. We are absolutely convinced that the digital platform needs to have a very thick and a very clear red line of neutrality that allows you, the participants in this network, as service providers, as shippers who need to move freight, as load recipients who receive freight, as fleet operators that manage fleets of assets, and most of you are something in between, some form of hybrid, that you have a digital backbone that you can rely on for your calibration but a digital backbone that is also predictable. Now, on this digital backbone, we want to provide technology that supports the network. And I'm asking our product team always to become very suspicious and skeptical if we find a functionality, if we have an idea, if we find a capability, or if some customers or prospects actually come to us and propose, why don't you develop this? Why don't you add this functionality to the platform? And it is a piece of technology, a capability. It is a functionality that only serves one participant in our network, because that's usually the signal that we're somehow fishing in the wrong pond. We need to develop technology that supports the network and that allows you to collaborate more efficiently. So we want to be the ultimate digital facilitator of collaboration in this transportation industry, or as I sometimes say, the digital backbone of this industry. Now, in this industry, there are multiple different parties working together. And yes, you sometimes do have deviating interests. And the most beautiful picture of symbiosis, or actually I prefer the term mutualism. In biology, biologists talk about mutualism, is this picture of the Nile crocodile and the Egyptian plover. That's the name of the bird. I'll let you guys decide over a beer today who the shipper and who the carrier or the service provider is, okay? But if you ask me, it actually keeps on changing. 12 months ago, I saw some service providers that looked remarkably like those crocodiles, or this crocodile. And today, I every now and then meet shippers that look a little bit like the crocodile. But they both actually realize they can only survive in the long run if they somehow get their act together, especially if these roles are changing. So this neutrality is absolutely critical, because that network only keeps on growing and keeps on working if we keep that neutrality, and if we put everything that we do at the forefront of everything what we do is drive adoption, drive interaction, drive traffic, drive communication on that network. That's why we pay a lot of attention to measure network growth. That's why we pay a lot of attention to metrics that tell us, is this network growing in size, in liquidity, in density, in quality? Because that's sort of the ultimate proof point that we can continue to create value, and frankly also that we can continue to leverage the competitive advantage that we have against other companies in the supply chain tech and freight tech industry. And I don't need to mention that there is competition around. Obviously there is. It's an attractive space. So since 2020, we've actually grown the number of connected carriers. We've doubled the number of connected carriers. We didn't double the number of shippers because that's also the origin where we come from, and we always invested for a long time more in the shipper community than we did in the carrier community. It's only about 3-4 years ago that we started to substantially invest in products that also serve the needs of carriers. We've increased the number of transactions by almost 30%. That's the ultimate, that's the mother pig, right? The transport. That's the thing that we all want. There is a time slot around, there is an ETA, there is a CMR, there is a settlement transaction, there is a procurement event, but the ultimate mother pig that we need to solve is the transport, is getting an asset and a load assigned to each other. So that's why the number of transports on our platform is important. We also increase the number of modes we support, right? Transporeon has an origin in full truckload. That's what we do best. This is what we are well known for. We've invested substantially into covering not only land transport, trucking, full truckload, but also intermodal combinations, ocean transports, and most recently also LTL. We've also realized that we can't do this on our own, so we started to carefully select partners that we work with that cover those adjacencies that we don't cover. You've seen a few names, and I'll have the slide again. And we continue to innovate, right? One number that Rob didn't share is that Trimble invests every year $600 million in R&D. When I met Rob, not first time, second time when we met, we had dinner with each other, I asked him, how do you measure R&D? How do you measure innovation? And actually his number was very simple, number of filed patents. That's what innovators do. They file patents for stuff that they have innovated. And that's a commitment, a guarantee, and hopefully also a promise that Transporeon can give to you, to our customers. So I'm ultimately convinced that this combination is very powerful, first and foremost for our customers and for our people. And in a technology company, if it's good for the customers and good for the people, then it's good for everybody, because a technology company doesn't have anything more than customers and people. That's it, right? So it's all about the people in this network, the people in this community, and I again would like to say thank you to all the partners that have joined us. Make use of that partner pavilion, engage in conversations. Those are all adjacent solutions that can help you to improve the use of our technology through other technology, that can help you to cover state-of-the-art problems and challenges of today. And I again would like to say a big thank you to all the customers that are actively participating in this conference, right? We talk a lot about network, we talk a lot about collaboration. There is no better expression than some of the greatest brands in the world, some of the most senior supply chain executives in the world that share their experience, good and sometimes also not so good, with you, with each other, in order for us to learn together. And also here you can see that it's a little bit skewed towards shippers, but there's quite a number of nice service providers and carriers. Actually, the participants today is actually 47-53% number of participants representing service providers, representing shippers. So that's sort of this, another proof point for this balanced, neutral platform that we want to be, that we are building, that really brings the industry together. So join me in the next 2 days. Think about that end. Think about what are we trying to achieve? What are the layers in between that we can touch, that we need to touch? The opportunities are absolutely there. Technology is evolving at this unprecedented speed. It's available at marginal cost at any place, at any point in time, at any place in the world. And it's open for those that actually decide to move or to leave isolation and start to collaborate on a strong digital backbone that hopefully Transporeon is offering to all of you. And together, we're basically achieving this. So thank you very much again for joining us. It's a great pleasure to be here with you, and enjoy the 2 days.